Hi everybody, it's Julie Friedman Smith.
I'm Gail Bell.
We're here from Parenting Power today. And we wanted you to understand some of what we do when we're coaching our clients, because a lot of the work that we do, probably 60 or 70% of the work that we do, is working one-on-one with families. And so in order for you to have a sense of this, we were just chatting together about our own parenting lives, raising teenagers.
Full right now.
It is very full. And thinking about a client that I was talking with last week who has a 16-year-old boy, and she's really struggling. He is pushing back. He is being rude. He is not getting his work done. He's not getting things done on time. He's not getting things handed in.
He's 16.
He's 16. Exactly. So we thought we would talk with you a little bit about what we shared with her. And obviously when we work one-on-one with families, we're really helping everybody to find their right way to parent. So obviously this is going to be a little bit broader than it was when we were talking with her. But this is something that we're hearing about all the time, and this is something that we are living all the time in our own homes. What were you going to, I think the brain research is something that immediately popped into your mind.
Always, we need to hang on to that. So frontal lobe development. So we now know, which we didn't know before, because most brain research was on the first 8 years or older. Dementia, now we're doing much, not we.
Not
I'm
us.
not a brain surgeon, but knowing how the teenage brain is not developed, their frontal lobe developed. Now, there's nothing wrong with their brains, it's just the development process, and we know that the frontal lobe is responsible for the executive skills, i.e.
organization. And reasoning and rational thought.
Yes.
And managing risks and managing impulses.
And they all have that, and they're taking risks, and that's what they're supposed to be doing, because that's how they learn, and they don't have the organizational skills to know when to do what. And then, and now pile social media on top of that. Not even social media, we have to say screens on top of that, because it's a huge part of the world. And I've actually talked to moms that have kids in, finishing high school or moving on to their first jobs, and they literally say, we feel so blessed we didn't have to deal with the phone as well, because there was so much other stuff to deal with. They're worth it.
Yeah.
But they're like, now you guys have the screens and the phones as well. So it's just, we need to know and feel safe, maybe, in that most kids are being normal and doing their job, and most parents are going through the exact same stuff.
Yeah, and it's not all about us. So it's not, what are you doing wrong? Why are you a bad... Like, if you were a better parent, this wouldn't be happening.
Right.
Because part of it is just developmental. It's shifting to peer group as family and pushing back and seeing what they can get away with. So there are a lot of these things that are just normal developmental processes.
Yeah, they want that independence.
Right.
And they're ready for the independence in some ways, but they're not in others.
Yes.
Right.
And so really it's about... how do we walk that fine line of allowing them to have the freedom, but also still stepping in and being a parent? And I think for many, many parents of teens, and I'm going to say like 13, 14 onward, parents get this impression of, hey, my kid's getting older. They look like they're some of them are shooting up, and they're looking like little adults. So let's start treating them like little adults and backing off.
Or we've heard about, parents doing their homework or doing this, and I don't want to be that parent, so we're not involved.
Right. It's kind of one end of the pendulum or the other. And we're really encouraging parents to try and find that middle ground.
Yeah.
We were just reading something from a book about expectations, about we can have these great expectations for where we want our kids to end up. And at the same time, we can anticipate that they're going to meet those expectations in tiny baby steps to get there. So part of it is looking clearly at where your child is right here, right now, and building the steps to get them along the path to that next.
The consistent steps. And we have to be careful, because those tiny baby steps, and this is one of my biggest weaknesses as a parent, is that I want to check in all the time, even though, so it's really important for me not to do their work, but to say, so what have you got to do today? And are you on track? And because I am the organizer.
Right.
But I can't assume that my kids are going to do it exactly the way I think they should. So there's a middle ground, which is where the Sunday family meetings come in.
Oh yeah, that's
Right.
something that your family really, really believes in, to check in, because
Yeah.
that's your main time of checking in.
That's right.
And that's a really good point, because it's not to say that there should be no checking in.
No.
And this is where the parenting part really does come in, is setting up a plan for yourself about how you are going to check in. So you're not, if you
And there's
know
no
that you're a
one right way.
nagger, right? If you know that you're a nagger and you're saying things all the time, I wasn't pointing fingers. She just put her hand up.
But I'm working hard.
And what I know
It's parenting,
for you
I have
is that you set a plan of when you are going to ask and how you are going to ask, so that you live up to that plan for yourself. And that's how you're using your organization to help you, so that you're parenting the way you want to parent. And sometimes it's about, instead of telling kids all the time, about asking and setting aside time to ask, or setting up a habit. As soon as you get home, you need to check in here and show me that you've done that. Show me your plan, and then I can back off. You can show me at the end of the evening that you've accomplished it. So there are so many different ways to do it. And I think the key points here are, it's not all about you as a parent. So teens are going to be teens. They're going through some of this stuff. We have always said at Parenting Power that when this misbehavior or this yucky stuff happens, it's a great opportunity for us to see what is the next thing that our child needs to learn. So it's not that we just say, hands off, this is who they are, there's nothing we can do about it.
No.
We say, let's meet them where they are and help them to get to the next step. It is about us in terms of the way we are reacting versus responding, and making a plan for how that's going to happen. And remembering that most teens are pushing back in some way.
Oh, for sure.
So even teens who are really good rule followers, and that was me, and we know really good rule followers, even really good rule following teens will find ways to break rules that aren't going to be really, really bad or risky, but they're still going to push. And it might be the eye roll, and it might be rudeness, little things. And so just, it's not something that you did wrong if suddenly your teenager is behaving like a teenager. That's their job.
And it's not something to ignore either. So
Exactly.
Again, it's when are you going to talk about it, and how are you going to talk about it, and go by the Teenage Brain.
Yes, and well, all those books that we talked about in our other videos,
Yeah.
The Teenage Brain, Untangled is a great book by
Untangled's
Lisa Dunmore.
great.
So many great books, and we'll continue to show you them. Anyway, if you would like some help with a challenge that your family is facing, we're happy to help. And please pass this on to anybody that you think might benefit from it. Be well. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.